Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, finally, the Executive Board of the Sahitya Academy meets and strongly condemns the atmosphere of intolerance and murders of rationalists, supporting freedom of expression for writers. Should the protesting writers now take back their awards? Author Vikram Seth speaks exclusively to us tonight. Well, after weeks of protests by writers across the country, where more than 40 writers, in fact, returned their Sahitya Akademi awards to the Academy, the Academy's board met today and finally passed a resolution strongly condemning the killings of rationalists and authors, and in a statement also supported the right to freedom of expression in all languages of India, condemning strongly any atrocity against any writer anywhere in the country. Well, this is a statement that many writers had been hoping would have come much earlier, but it has finally come today. Joining us on the program now is eminent author Vikram Seth. Vikram Seth had told NDTV that he would in fact consider returning his award if the Sahitya Academy did not take a stand on this. Vikram Seth, your first reaction to this statement, you've had a chance to go through it. Do you welcome it? What do you think?
I certainly welcome it. It's a statement which is strong as I could have expected. And indeed, in some senses, even broader. I consider it a noble statement, and I am both relieved and grateful that the board of the Sahitya Academy has made the statement that it has. It shows that it has not been, it's acted as an independent body. It's condemned any attempt to suppress free speech, and of course, the ultimate suppression of free speech is where you stop the lips and deaden the hand. In other words, murder. It has also condemned what is the atmosphere of fear that is sought to be inculcated by acts of assassination such as these. And this form of fear or terror, in effect terrorism, has been condemned in the strongest possible terms. I am very happy that this has happened. At the same time, I should also express... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You should also express.
Well, I should also not ramble on. But Nidhi, one of the things that I should also say, that had it not been for the writers who gave up their awards, I don't believe that this meeting would have been brought forward from December. Who knows what would have happened between now and then, but certainly the atmosphere of fear, of discomfort and of suppression of free speech would have continued. And I do not think, as some do, that it's an easy thing for writers to give up their awards. Remember that writers, unlike people in other professions, live quite isolated professional lives. And for them to get a mark of approbation from their peers, their fellow writers, is something that gives them great comfort. It may not improve their writing one way or another, that's neither here nor there, but it gives them comfort in their isolated professional lives. To give up something like this is an act of courage.
Certainly, and when you look at the Academy's statement today, there is not one but two references to Professor Kalburgi's murder. Also, the Academy demanding that the centre and states maintain an ambience of peaceful coexistence, urging communities to put aside differences on grounds of caste and religion. Is that where you feel that the statement actually went beyond what you expected?
Yes. I think it's wonderful.
And therefore, do you think the writers should take back their awards now?
That's for them. I certainly think that if it's possible, I would most deeply welcome the fact that they're the ones who made the chief executives of the Academy bring forward this meeting. If anyone merits an award, and if anyone merits the approbation not only of writers but of society at large, it's them. I would certainly hope that they would find some way of retaining these awards. I don't know what the mechanics of it is.
One of the things, and you alluded to that as well, that has come up in this entire controversy has been the autonomy of the academy itself. And there was a sense that by being silent on all these issues, the academy was compromising on its own integrity, on its autonomy. And today, do you think that by issuing this statement, they have reasserted their autonomous nature?
I think so. There was, from what I understand, quite a lot of pressure on them, certainly from the non-response to Mr. Daruwala's letter, and the mention that Sahab hum pe bahut pressure hai. But they have certainly shown themselves independent. Of course, now it's in the hands of the powers that be to follow through vigorously on investigating the assassinations not only of Kalburgi and Bansare, which took place under this union government, but also that of the Holkar, which took place under the previous one. I think no matter what the government, this has sent a strong message that writers will maintain their own autonomy and respect those of others. One other line that you didn't mention was the final line of the statement about, people in all walks of life. So it goes beyond writers. This idea of amity, of comity, of tolerance, and of respect.
We also saw, however, writers themselves very divided on this issue. Today there was a parallel protest that another group of writers was carrying out, saying that the return of the awards was a political gimmick. It was only being done to target the government. How do you look at that?
Well, there are two thoughts that come to my mind about that. The first is, I think it's very difficult, as I said before, for writers to give up their awards. But that's one thought. So I don't think one should attribute purely political motives. Of course, we do not operate in a vacuum, and literature, history, politics all merge. It's a seamless continuum. Some writers might think it's something specific to the academy. Others might go much wider. Some might even feel it's a criticism of the government or the ambience that we are facing as a whole. But the other thought that comes to my mind is that writers are individual people. They're not co-conspirators in some sort of plot. We don't sing from the same song sheet. So it's certainly possible that some writers think that giving up the awards was silly or immature, whatever they think. The other writers might think that not giving up the award was cowardice. I don't believe either of those. I think that our strength lies in the fact that we are individual voices who can, on crucial matters, come together.
Except a senior minister like Arun Jaitley doesn't think so. He wrote in his Facebook post a few days ago that he believes this is a manufactured revolt. It's a case of ideological intolerance against the BJP. He has clearly attributed political motives to this protest, talking about writers with a left or Nehruvian leaning who've been recognized by the government in the past. What is the message you'd give to him today?
Well, Arun Jaitley is one of the very few people who spoke out very early about the dreadful lynching at Dadri, when other people remained fairly quiet for an unconscionably long period of time. Arun Jaitley is one of the very few people in that party who spoke out about the ridiculousnose of Section 377, this foreign law that's been imposed upon India. Yet Arun Jaitley is also a politician, and he's a person of independent views. He has every right to express his view that he thinks these writers are political, which I suppose includes me. And I have every right to disagree with him. In this particular case, I strongly disagree with him.
Well, finally, Vikram Seth, on these incidents that we have seen, including now the horrible incident in Faridabad where these Dalit children were burnt alive, and Dadri as well. Would you like to see a clear, strong condemnation of everything that is happening from the top, from the Prime Minister himself. Are you surprised that he still hasn't made a very clear-cut statement on these?
I am surprised.
All right. Vikram Seth, thank you very much for joining us on the program today and your first reaction there to the Sahitya Akademi's resolution. Thank you very much. Well, the question then is whether it is time for writers who had returned their awards, their Sahitya Akademi awards, to now actually take those awards back. We're joined tonight by Shashi Deshpande, who is, of course, an award-winning Indian novelist and former member of the Sahitya Akademi Council. She, in fact, resigned in the wake of all these controversies. Kamal Kishore Goenka, well-known writer and Vyas Sammelan awardee, also joining us on the program this evening. Ms. Deshpande, your reaction then, you heard what Vikram Seth had to say. He's very welcoming of the Academy's statement today. He says it's gone beyond his expectations. How do you feel about it?
I'm afraid I have a rather nasty, suspicious mind, unlike Vikram. And I keep wondering why it took them so long to make this statement. Why they had to have so much pressure upon them from the writers and from everywhere before they made the statement. It could have come 2 months ago. So I'm a little, I do not welcome it as much as Vikram does. I also wonder whether, it means that there's going to be a change in the academy now, whether they will be more proactive on the behalf of writers. We know that it is an autonomous institute, but whether it will be truly independent, I would like to wait and watch.
Why though? I mean, you expressed your concern on the timing. You believe it's in a sense too little, too late. But better late than never. One can use that expression as well. At the end of the day, at least they have finally spoken, and the content certainly seems to be strong. Or you don't think it's strong enough?
As a writer, I disbelieve in cliches, and I think better late than never is not something I would apply here, because it should have come earlier. This was not the death of some obscure writer in some faraway region of India. He was a writer, part of the academy. He was on the General Council. He was a Sahitya Akademi awardee. Surely, for this man, they could have spoken up much earlier. And I felt very strongly about that at that point, and I still do.
Mr. Goenka, how do you feel about this? Do you believe Shashi Deshpande is not happy? She says the condemnation from the Sahitya Akademi has come too late. Do you agree with that? Do you think they should have spoken out earlier, or that this controversy should end now?
देखिए, मैं ये समझता हूं कि साहित्य अकेडमी के द्वारा ये स्वीकार करने का हमें स्वागत करना चाहिए। अगर किसी चीज में विलंब हुआ है, लेकिन आज उसका कम से कम निर्णय तो हुआ है, और कम से कम इस बात को स्पष्ट हो गया कि साहित्य अकेडमी साहित्यकारों के साथ है, उसके सम्मान की रक्षा करने के लिए है। इसलिए मैं इसका स्वागत करता हूं और मैं समझता हूं, लेकिन मुझे थोड़ी सी आशंका अभी यह है कि क्या लेखकों का जो पुरस्कार जो उन्होंने वापस किया है, क्या उसका मूल कारण केवल कुलबर्गी की हत्या पर शोक प्रस्ताव ही है, या इसके अलावा और भी कोई उनके लक्ष्य हैं? जैसा कि हमारे इस सारी चीज में स्पष्ट हुआ है, वो इस केंद्रीय सरकार पर आरोप लगा रहे हैं। वो कहते हैं ये फांसीवादी सरकार है, वो कहते हैं लोकतंत्र की और अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता समाप्त हो रही है। तो मुझे थोड़ी सी आशंका है कि जो लोग इसका विरोध कर रहे हैं, कहीं वो साहित्य अकेडमी के इस प्रस्ताव को स्वीकार करने के बाद उनको शांत हो जाना चाहिए और स्वीकार कर लेना चाहिए जो उनका प्रमुख लक्ष्य था वो पूरा हो गया है। तो मैं साहित्य अकेडमी के इस प्रस्ताव का स्वागत करता हूं और मैं विश्वास करता हूं कि उनको ईश्वर सद्बुद्धि देगा और एक शांतिपूर्ण वातावरण साहित्य की दुनिया में उत्पन्न होगा।
गोयनका जी, क्या आपका कहना है कि जो लोग इसका अभी भी विरोध कर रहे हैं, जिन लोगों ने प्रोटेस्ट किया, अपने अवार्ड वापस दिए, क्या उनका कोई पॉलिटिकल मोटिव है? आप ये कह रहे हैं कि वो मोदी सरकार के खिलाफ है, इसलिए कर रहे हैं?
देखिए, ये तो उनके सारे वक्तव्य से स्पष्ट है। उनके हर जो वक्तव्य हमारे सामने आए हैं, वो बराबर इस बात के लिए कह रहे हैं कि केंद्रीय सरकार के कारण से फांसीवादी वातावरण तैयार हो रहा है, लोकतंत्र के और अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता पर आघात हो रहा है। अगर उनका केवल लक्ष्य यही है कि बुल्गारिया की शोक सभा होनी चाहिए, तो उस समस्या का तो समाधान हो गया। इसलिए उनको स्वीकार करके ये मान लेना चाहिए कि साहित्य अकेडमी ने उनकी शर्तों को स्वीकार कर लिया है और साहित्य के सम्मान की रक्षा करने के लिए वो सामने आए हैं। अब हमें देखना है कि आने वाले सप्ताह के अंदर वो किस प्रकार से व्यवहार करते हैं।
Ms. Deshpande, 2 points that Mr. Goenka makes. One, that since the academy has come out with a statement today, the protest should end now. And two, that he believes that many of the writers who have protested in this way by returning their awards have a political motive that is anti the Modi government more than anything else. It's not about, it's not as if this is the only murder that has taken place at this time in India.
You know, I would like to say something about this, that somehow it's been made a matter of writers returning awards, writers not returning awards, or writers taking back awards. This is not the main thing. This protest goes beyond that. It was about the freedom of speech, of expression for writers. And I think it goes even beyond that. And I would like to say it very strongly. What kind of a country do we believe in? Do we believe in a country of intolerance and bigotry, or do we believe in a country of tolerance and amity? And I think this is the choice I think the country has to make now, because the country has been polarized now like never before. I mean, this very thing what happened today in the academy tells us this. So I think we all need to rethink, including writers. And when I say that we did not support Taslima or we did not support Perumal Murugan, I agree with that. I think writers need to support one another. And if the academy is serious that it will uphold the freedom of writers and the dignity of writers, I would welcome that too. I would welcome that very much.
So are you acknowledging that writers have been selective in their outrage? Are you acknowledging that writers have often been selective in their outrage in this country?
No. Please don't twist my words. I'm only saying that we should have done it earlier. We have been a little late in doing it. No selectiveness. Somehow, sometimes the time comes when you feel you have to do something, and the time has come now for writers. So we keep it in mind now, and we see that we support all the writers in their freedom to express themselves. No selectiveness, not at all.
Goenka ji, Ms. Deshpande is saying that it is unfair to say that these are all politically motivated protests. मतलब एक वक्त आता है कि राइटर्स को या इंटेलेक्चुअल्स को, लिबरल्स को आवाज उठानी पड़ती है माहौल देख के. इज इट फेयर टू से कि ये सारे प्रोटेस्ट पॉलिटिकली मोटिवेटेड है? आप मुझे बताइए कि कोई 70-80 वर्ष के कोई लेखक हैं, वो उनको क्या पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट है? इतने सालों से उनके पास अवार्ड है, अब वो वापस कर रहे हैं, उनका क्या पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट है?
नहीं, ये आपकी बातचीत से मैं इस तरह सहमत हूं कि कुछ लेखक वास्तव में उनको मन का आघात लगा है और इसलिए उन्होंने पुरस्कारों को वापस किया है, लेकिन इसके पीछे जो राजनीति है वो भी हमें समझने की आवश्यकता है. मेरा ये कहना है कि चुनाव से पहले जिन लोगों ने पुरस्कार वापस किए हैं उनमें से कई लेखकों ने भारतीय जनता पार्टी को पराजित करने के लिए अपील निकाली थी, और वो 9 अप्रैल 2014 को जनसत्ता के कई अखबारों में प्रकाशित हुई थी. अब सवाल यह है कि उसके बाद जनता ने उस अपील को स्वीकार नहीं किया, और एक लोकतंत्र के माध्यम से जो सरकार चुनकर के आई, अब उसी सरकार को 1-1.5 वर्ष के बाद ही ये कह रहे हैं कि वो फांसीवादी सरकार है. अरे भाई, 5 वर्ष के लिए जनता ने उसको ये अधिकार दिया है कि वो देश के विकास के लिए काम करे. आप 5 वर्ष तक उसकी प्रतीक्षा कीजिए. अगर आप इस सरकार को हटा देंगे तो दूसरी सरकार वो आएगी, उसके विरोध में ये इसी तरह का वातावरण तैयार होगा. आप लोकतंत्र को डिसोन कर रहे हैं. आप लोकतंत्र के माध्यम से जिस जनता ने सरकार को चुना है उस सरकार के खिलाफ आप वातावरण तैयार करके वास्तव में लोकतंत्र को आघात पहुंचा रहे हैं. मेरा ये दृष्टिकोण है. इसलिए लोकतंत्र की रक्षा के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि लेखकों को इस संबंध में विचार करना चाहिए.
नहीं, लेकिन लोकतंत्र का तो ये भी एक डेफिनेशन है कि लोग अपनी आवाज उठाएं. अगर उन्हें लगता है कि कुछ गलत हो रहा है उसके खिलाफ बोलें. लोकतंत्र का मतलब ये भी तो है गोयनका जी.
चलो ठीक है, आप ठीक कह रहे हैं. लोकतंत्र में आवाज उठानी ही चाहिए और इसमें कोई किसी को अस्वीकार नहीं कर सकता. लेकिन जब लेखक लोकतंत्र में आवाज उठाने के लिए चयन करता है, चुनाव करता है, तब सारा प्रश्न सवाल होता है. कई लोगों ने टैगोर का उल्लेख किया कि टैगोर ने ब्रिटिश पीरियड के अंदर अपना सम्मान लौटा दिया था, लेकिन वो इसका उल्लेख नहीं करते कि जलियांवाला कांड में हजारों भारतीयों को गोली से भून दिया गया था. वो कितनी भयंकर और बर्बर घटना थी. ऐसी घटना जब 84 में सिखों का कत्ल हुआ, हजारों लोगों का, तब इनमें से किसी लेखक ने अपनी सहानुभूति से प्रकट की थी. जरा इसकी तुलनात्मक अध्ययन करेंगे तो आपको मालूम हो जाएगा कि टैगोर, इन लेखकों में से कोई टैगोर तब क्यों नहीं पैदा हुआ जब सिखों का कत्ल हो रहा था और सारा देश देख रहा था और सारा देश भयभीत था. तो इन लोगों की जो आत्मा जागृत होती है वो टैगोर की तरह से जागृत क्यों नहीं होती?
Ms. Deshpande, do you want to respond to that the allegation Mr. Goenka makes that writers who've been protesting are disowning democracy, disowning a democratically elected government. And that, again, he's talking about selective outrage. What about 1984? That question keeps coming back again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's totally irrelevant. Many of us were not around at that time. Many of us were not writers. And I think, we are just going way beyond what is relevant. What is relevant is really that we are standing up for the freedom of speech of writers. That is the important thing. What is important is that we are standing up for a democracy which is really secular in the sense that everybody feels safe and secure here. It's not against the government. If any government is doing all these things, wonderful. It's not against any government. It is definitely for the writers who, according to me, are the witnesses, bear witness to their age. So they are very important in that one aspect. And why should writers indulge in politics? What can they get from politics? I think writers have enough difficulty writing and earning a living.
But do you believe?
We're not going to go into
do
politics.
You believe that the writers should take back their awards? You think they should continue? They should continue their protest? Because, for instance, Vikram Seth is saying that he feels that it would be nice if the writers who returned their awards found a way to retain them. You don't agree with that, Ms. Deshpande?
I do. I mean, I leave it to each individual. It's up to each individual to decide whether she or he wants to take back her or his award. I can't tell anybody what to do. But when you say that the protest is over, I would say it is not over until, writers are able to make their voices heard. For a long time, voices of the writers have not been heard in this country. We have had too many voices speaking and the writers have lost their voice. We are now speaking after a long time, and I think we need to speak. We need to bear witness to what is happening, and we need to say that these are the things that are happening here, and we are going to say that. So to me, that is more important than receiving awards or giving back awards. That is not the main issue.
All right. Well, thank you to you, Shashi Deshpande, and to Mr. Goenka for joining us tonight with two very different perspectives from writers, eminent writers today. And those divisions we can see are very clear. Everyone has a different way of looking at today's Academy resolution. It may be strongly worded, but there are many writers, many eminent people who still believe it was just something that came too late.